And so what President Kenyatta is doing is good, but
it's not enough.
Yeah, no, but we urge him to go into the bottom line. That is, first of all, create consensus, create consultations amongst people. If, therefore, they want title deeds to be issued, issue it out to everybody. But two, don't do cleanup. Okay, do cleanup, but don't style it as slum upgrading. Okay, and the last thing, just before I give up on this, is that he's been giving out money for the young people who come to do this business, which is good, but it is kazi kwa vijana. Much more than Raila did the kazi kwa vijana. You remember the kazi kwa vijana thing, which is a good thing, is putting money in the pockets of people. And I tell you, that is very popular when you come down there. For if you go out to clean with him, you will get some money in your M-Pesa, which is a good thing. But now we are asking, is it coded? Why is he not doing it in Kiambio? Why is he not doing it in Madare?
Okay.
Why is he not doing it just slammed or here?
Let's bring it Weda.
I think my law and development professor, Professor Ben Sianya, told me you don't call them slums. You call them spontaneous settlements. It's less dishonorable. So we will refer to them as spontaneous settlements. But number one, he says the president is just doing cleanup. One of the reasons why we want to do a shrine in honor of the late Michuki is just cleaning Nairobi River. It is clean. The banks, you look at it and say, wow. One of the things why we want to elect Governor Albert Mutua president, before he does anything, adjust the flowers. As you enter into Machakos County, where I live, you say hallelujah, cleaning. The biggest issue in this spontaneous settlement, cleanliness, number one. That is why they are called slums. No toilets, everything is helter-skelter, okay? If the president, and one of the good things the president did, I thought it was a mistake, but now I see the best thing he did was to get this lady called Anwar Guru. She understands what transformational leadership is all about, and she's a go-getter. I wish you'd have sacked the cabinet, half the cabinet, and gave her half the portfolios. The country would be moving. Working with the resources that you have, moving to what you don't have. One, you have enough money, you have enough personnel at the National Youth Service, which has been transformed to do cleaning. She's doing that. We have little money, you use it to do cleaning. Then they are talking about title deeds and so on and so forth. Raila had 5 years. All the other years he was in the opposition, may not have the strength, but 5 years as co-principal, not co. And then Kibaki also may have feared him because he had half the cabinet answering him. If all he did was to do paper and pen, that I'm planning to do this, I'm planning to do this, I went to Singapore, I went to Malaysia. You don't have to go to Malaysia to clean a country. So I think it is time. You have alluded that the president is doing well. But when it is well, say it is well. They are doing well. And I think that should be done quickly, completed. Then you move to Madare, then you move to Kiambio, then you move to Kwanjenga, then you move to wherever, so that after 5 years you're able to say, although we didn't have enough resources, we did the basics. What is happening in Kibera is very good. And don't sack your MP. I hear now they say the MP for Kibera is a jubilee mole. He needs to be punished. Owalo needs to come in. You see that culture?
Well, I've given the president the credit for what he's doing, particularly to put money in the pockets of young people. I know how that is huge, because sometimes you go around those low-cost areas and you are unable to know how it is that water will be on your table. So for whatever it is worth, and for the fact that they are doing something for themselves, it's good enough. It's good. The only thing I'm worried about as a leader in terms of national planning and city planning is this urban development in both technical sense and in a planning sense. And I think Kibera will be taken for a ride, having thought that they are doing urban upgrading, and yet they are just cleaning up the town. Now, I was talking about the Nubians. That's what I forgot. Okay. And the conflict you have in Kibera between indigenous groups. Everybody is indigenous groups. The Nubians call themselves indigenous in Kibera. The Luos, the Luyas, the Kambas who live there are also indigenous in their ways. the conflicts, the land question in Nairobi can be so spontaneous and can be so explosive. And I ask President Kenyatta to be very watchful that nothing happens there. But it's important, and Weda has not responded now that he's speaking for Jubilee, who is his client, I'm told. Why is it that he's doing it in Kibra? I mean, I'm not being the devil's advocate here, but why is he not doing it in Korogosho? I want him to come to Mathare. And why is he not doing it in Kiambio? Could it be, as you say, could this be showing us that he's doing in a short period of time what Raila couldn't have done in a long period of time?
Is this so about politics at the heart of it?
Now, let me explain to you first. First, let us get this. Kibera has been used by people in politics, people in government, people in NGOs to attract and eat money. You get it? That it is the biggest slum in Africa. You get it?
Right.
Now, it has 800, almost 1 million people. When you look at the national census, okay, the census, it does not, it's about 150,000 people, families, okay? That is one. Number two, so because of that, it is actually the biggest. It's taken to be the biggest and the most suffering, and even Obama knows about it. And even when I think the wife, when he came...
Well, he lived there. Obama lived there. But
whenever everybody comes and says, let's go to Kibera. This is the biggest. So the president had to start somewhere. And to start where he can be able to say, sometimes first, I don't hate Raila, I don't hate his people, I don't hate his constituency, so let me start there. Secondly, Raila has been in the forefront, Okoa Kenya, Okoa this. So there must be an element of also politics. You say, this Okoa here, Okoa here, Okoa here. When you had the opportunity to Okoa anything at your own constituency, which you represented for 20 years, did you Okoa any basic thing? So I will agree with you. Up to some level, you also must play politics. I say, he Okoa person, hapa Okoa chochote, he didn't. So politics, I accept. There is a bit of politics, but the work that is going on is very laudable. Well, now that you are also my friend, we will also tell His Excellency that Mheshimiwa Anwar Guru say, now the next person, the next place you go to is my classmate's constituency. Him, he has been there short, he has done a good job, but he needs your hand. Although he will be branded, oh, this one is now another Jubilee.
No, even without him. No, even without the president, we are already working on it.
Yeah, you are doing it, but now you need the big push.
Actually, right now we are talking about titles. We are working very closely with the ministry, and in a short while, we are trying to see, therefore, how we can disperse these titles. The problem is with Islam, if I give you the title, and if you do not have the financial strength to keep your title, what will happen is, next doors, you'll sell it, and you will become a bigger slum dweller than what you were before.
All right, gentlemen, we'll move away from politics for a bit, but we'll come back on some issues towards the end of the show. But a story that shocked everybody last week and, caused a lot of outrage when this men, hooligans, stripped this lady naked in Embakasi, and the Deputy President actually commented on the same. If you have that clip, we can listen to what he had to say. Today, there are organized demonstrations around the capital on the same, which we'll be following and bringing you the updates. But first, let's listen to what Deputy President William Ruto had to say.
Wewe mwanaume ambaye sijui wewe umetoka dunia gani, vile mama amevaa ni haja yako ni nini? Wewe enda valisha girlfriend yako vile unataka, ama bibi yako vile unataka. Wale wengine wavae vile pia wanataka. Na hawa watu wote, kwa sababu hawa wenye kuvua wanawake nguo hadharani na wale wanatia mimba watoto shuleni ni wa dini moja. Hawa watu wote wanatakana wachukuliwe hatua za kisheria. Kwamba we do not want to live in a primitive world where people don't respect the rights of others.
Well said there by the Deputy President. And the hashtag that has been trending on this is my dress, my choice. Seeing that, I'll start with you, Mheshimiwa. What did you think? Because this is despicable. A human being in this day and age to have done that and just get all these other men all around her, stripping her you'd imagine if somebody, as my colleague, I remember tweeting, and I agreed with her, that if you feel somebody is not properly dressed or is too scantily dressed, you want to cover them up, then to cover this nakedness you see, instead of then exposing the entire person.
No, Sophie, this is just, it is something that makes me sick. After watching what I watched, for the weekend, I've not been myself, because how is it that human beings, particularly men, have decided to be policemen of morals when they themselves have not looked at themselves and found out whether they espouse even an iota of those morals they claim to be policemen of? But I'm looking at this thing and I'm thinking that Kenyan society is also degenerating. And you don't only see it in issues like we saw it with this lady, but you see it like in politics, the ones we've just discussed today.
Correct.
You see it in political rallies. Somebody has the temerity to cane a former prime minister in a public meeting. You see it, the president has come from Hague, and the man is really going to his office. Somebody wants to reach at the president, and then you look at it and you say, what is it that Kenyans we are reacting to? And it is not the ladies, it is the men. I think something is going wrong. Psychologists would want to let us know, or social scientists, development scientists, would really want to know where we are going as a country. But I can tell you, no man has a right whatsoever, whether it is your wife or whether it is your girlfriend, now to start humiliating a woman, to take away. He himself cannot remove that cloth, his own cloth, in public. If men were to strip him out there, the man would feel humiliated all his life. Now, men, these are your wives. They are your daughters.
Sisters, yeah.
They are your sisters. And so you apply it to somebody you meet on the streets. How would it be if your own siblings would face it? I mean, it is just stupid and idiotic. I thought so.
Well said.
Yeah, for me, I'm an advocate of dressing according to the occasion.
Okay.
I have big daughters. I always tell them, when you are going for a disco, don't wear a suit. Okay? When you are going to church, please don't wear that kakwata. Okay, please. Make a choice what the occasion is.
Okay.
Even at that level, I say so at advisory level. I don't say so as a command from the father. The parent is at advisory level. Why do I do so? Because after 18 years, she has certain rights to make certain choices. I can only quarrel, I can only put sanctions. But I am not a moral prefect over people. I can only advise, can only say, Sophia, this one does not look very decent for this occasion. What does not look decent for your TV appearance may be very decent for a dance. You understand? Now, you cannot meet somebody going her way, then you take a holier than thou attitude that this is not holy, I will undress you.
Right.
That was impunity, and I'm sad that the vice president was talking about it in the rally. If I was in his shoes, I can tell you, because there were TV clips, somebody would be struggling for bail, from committee struggling for give me bail. And because most magistrates are ladies, if they at all is likely to get bail because of constitutional right, the bail terms would be very high. We would have by now be using those people to teach the rest of the country that you are free to undress any woman anytime, but you will answer for it in the next 12 hours. Undress, meet any woman, undress, but in the next 12 hours, you are paying with your body. We needed to have taken action, and we need to take action quickly, because we cannot police ladies the way they did. After all, if ladies were to walk, I appreciate the Islam faith, but I would not, the lady must also dress in an attractive manner. The manner that you look at her, God gave her a beautiful body. You allow the beautiful body also to be seen. So what those people did, I wish I was Kimayo or a magistrate. They would know how hot things can be for that simple act.
But can I take it deeper if I have a few minutes? I don't know if I do. You know, I'm looking at Kimayo. And with all these things, with all the clips that we have seen, I heard yesterday that Kimayo is calling for the lady to come to the police station to record a statement. I mean, that is stupid. The guy knows those people. He should have even looked for this lady at her home to please give them the statement. So to avoid the stigma, now you see a lady is being undressed. She's now being equated to criminals and con people who are going to police, you know, to give statements. I mean, this is the kind of attitude that the police is adopting, which is unacceptable. But you see, this male marshal that you see around in this country is not African. It is even not cultural. You go around the streets, somebody's putting his hands in the pocket, and when they see a woman pass by, then they whistle about, or they do some gestures that deprive the woman of her dignity. Remembering that we have a legislation, Sexual Offences Act. If Kimayo is going to use this act properly, he just needs to stand on Tomboya Avenue here. He will have his hands full of men that he can howl for prosecution for indecently assaulting women. I mean, we just have to come to a society where we respect people because they are our mothers if they are not our sisters.
True.
In fact, that lady, where she is after that incident, she needs counseling. She needs to
that must have
that's
been
traumatic. You know, just being addressed, people, it's so traumatic. And then they're cheering. It's so traumatic. And part of the therapy is when you see the perpetrators writhing in pain. Correct. That's when now, those are part of the therapy.
That help you.
Now, Kimayo should know, she should give the lady therapy. The deputy president should know that this lady needs counseling, so they come in. And let's not imagine that's somebody's daughter, somebody's mother, somebody's girlfriend, somebody's wife. And then those who are stripping her, if you could see them, they have no standards to give anybody.
All right. Well, there's a set organized protest for today on the same. As we said, we'll follow it for you. Catch our subsequent bulletins for updates on that. My dress, my choice. And many people have come out to express their thoughts on the same. And those who have even seemed to suggest that then a woman should be more careful in terms of when she's dressing. It is inconceivable that a man, surely there should be an element of control and thinking. Now, the problem is not the woman. It is that person who then decides it is their right, it is their responsibility to ensure people are dressed the way they think is the right way to go about it. So a discussion we'll continue to have and definitely continue to cover for you as well. Gentlemen, let's shift attention. I think it is even better when you are left to imagine. Yes.
When somebody is dressed well, you imagine. It is even better that way than when you go now, you expose people. The way Kibaki said,
let's shift our attention to land matters now. And one Alex Mwiru, embattled chair, he's been ousted now of the Departmental Committee on Lands. That petition going forward and being voted for by the members. And this is because they felt that he has not led the committee in as far as dealing with some of the issues of the current land saga, that he's not shown that interest or that kind of function in terms of working on these issues with that spirited endeavor to have them resolved. Also the Lamu 500,000 saga and the questioning of the same, and the tussle between Swazuri and Ngilu as well. Does it shock you that the members have come to such a point that say this is a man that is now working as an impediment and we need him out?
I think I said in this show one time that according to the Bible, God took soil. You know, soil was from land and made man. Our affinity to land goes beyond madness. When it comes to land, especially human beings. You see the world wars, the wars in Gaza, Palestine, here in Nairobi, wherever, is about land. So land is very sensitive. The land issue in Karen, first of all, sends a wrong signal. a wrong signal that your private land can be taken and subdivided and stolen. Secondly, the land issues in Lamu, you have seen people killing each other. So Parliament is the watchdog, their watchdog role, apart from traveling up and down earning allowances. I know my friend does not do that, he's a decent man. Running up and down is a watchdog. And what do you watch? You watch certain things that can make the country degenerate. You watch actions of government, and you watch actions of cabinet secretaries. So if they find that he has not put his feet down to call the ministers, this is the time that the cabinet secretary is supposed to be summoned. He comes with the relevant organ, the PAs, all the people, the files, so that Parliament says, this land we hear about it, can you tell us about it? He says, Mr. So-and-so, can you open file number this? He explains to them. Mr. So-and-so, can you open? So if their chairman, I think, is gerrymandering, so that the cabinet secretary is protected and so on, they are jeopardizing the security and stability of this country.
Right.
Well, let me put a caveat that this is an ongoing proceedings in the National Assembly. Is a live one, and I may not want to get into the details of what is going on, some of which I am privy because of my membership in the Assembly. But I think I just want to work on the concepts around it. Number one is that the cabinet secretaries are answerable to the people of this country. And the Constitution is very clear, if you look at Article 153, how cabinet secretaries from time to time should make reports to the National Assembly about issues of concerns that trouble people from day to day. And I think it is in this respect that the Cabinet Secretary for Lands was summoned by the Assembly to shed more light on these things, because as you see, it is a long process to wait for the judicial process and to find out, so who owned this land? Perhaps it will go for 10 years. We'll never get to know who annexed which land. And so sometimes it is more express when a cabinet secretary comes and says, according to the files within my possession, this is what is happening, and that and that and that. It may allay the fears of citizens. But I thought I had that the cabinet secretary, I went to cabinet, and because she was in cabinet, she was unable to attend. I can tell you that we as members of the National Assembly have taken up seriously the issue of getting the cabinet secretaries to be accountable to the people of this country. And we will demand their presence before the Assembly from time to time, before departmental committees, that they are able to give full and true account of what it is which is in their docket. You know, we are being treated to a lot of suckers in Karen. And it is not just Karen. Lots of expansive of land elsewhere are being taken every day at the watch of those that, it may not be a government policy, it is never government policy to steal, but people take advantage of their positions all the time to gobble up open spaces and so forth, and people's lands. You know, widows and people who are defenseless and strong muscles just come and pick up your land and go. And because nobody is able to show these things, they just go underfoot. So this will tell you the seriousness with which the National Assembly is taking up these issues. I have my doubts whether the Cabinet Secretary really is the correct person to shed light to this. I really would love that we go back to the Constitution. We are doing a lot of things which are away from the Constitution. The Land Commission has a principal role in these things. And I saw Charity Ngilu with the Land Commissioner signing some truths.
They buried the hatchet.
To bury the hatches. I hope that they have conceived their roles in such a proper manner that is consistent with the Constitution, so that Land Commission should start doing its job. You see why Land Commission? Because Land Commission becomes some sort of committee, administrative committee, that I can go before and expect administrative actions. Quite apart from a minister who is working on behest of the government, I will expect judicious inquiry by a commission more than I would expect from a minister doing his role. So I just want to hope that President Kenyatta has put his things together so that we now start seeing the Land Commission doing its work, alienating land, dispossessing titles, knowing who is taking public land and private land. And I wonder why it is taking too long to prosecute these guys. I mean, you just go to the title and you find that so-and-so or this company is purporting to be the landowner when it should have been so-and-so. The next day, Tobiko should have these guys in court. Okay. It can only mean that I'm sure there must be very big wigs around this subject.
All right.
But anyway.
Let me be clear. The Land Commission is in charge of trust and public land.
Yeah.
The private land is under Ngilu squarely. The current land is private land, tossed around between the lands office and the people, the land sharks. And for Parliament, they may not even want to look at who has what role. He will say, we are talking about land, Charity Ngilu, your table is here. Swazuri, your table is here, your team. So as we shoot questions, you can tell yourselves who answers. As we will shoot questions on behalf of the people of Kenya, you tell us whoever answers. If you are not able, we'll toss all of you out and put in new people. But because when this thing boils, when the land in Lamu boils, when the land in Karen boils, when private land boils, the country boils and the country can go down because of land.
Correct. All right. So to the tussle now between the National Assembly and the Senate, and caught in the middle is the presidency, and could be some embarrassment if in fact things work in favor of what the Senate seem to be seeking. The Constitution very clear that any bill that starts with the two speakers determining if it affects counties or not, and ends with the two concurring that the procedures have been followed. And the Senate has been very vocal and has come out to say procedures have not been followed, they have not been consulted. 67 bills that have been assented to by the president without their input that affected or touched on devolution. So the speakers here on this spotlight the presidency as well for assenting to these bills if in fact due process was not followed. Heshimiwa, why is it that we're even having this gap in this discussion where the law is explicitly clear on how things should work? Even the Supreme Court initially on the same matter did speak and give direction, and one of the things it says that at the end of the day the two speakers must ensure that due process is followed. So the fact that we're back to this, is it that people have their own agendas in the two houses?
Well, we still have this discussion and we'll have more of it because we are digesting the new constitution and implementing it, and so every fact set of it will be tested from time to time. But to put it in context, the issue seems to be this, that the constitution says that bills which are concerning counties would have to be looked at by both chambers of parliament. Remember, parliament is a term that talks about both chambers. And so wherever it is initiated, it could be initiated in the Senate, it could be initiated in the Assembly, but both houses would look at it. If it is a money bill, then it is considered in the National Assembly. And if it does not concern counties, then of course it is also considered in the Assembly. But I think the discussion is around the Article 110, I think subsection 3D or something like that, in which the Constitution seems to say that the speakers of the two chambers would have to have some sort of consultation and decide which matter concerns counties and which do not concern counties. It has been the view of the Senate that the two speakers should be consulting from time to time on that issue, what concerns counties and what does not. I think the information I have is that they have been consulting whenever every bill comes, because these bills come from cabinet, remember? They come through the commission for the commission for implementation commission, and some of them come through the Attorney General. And by the time they have been processed and brought to the Assembly and published, there is enough consultation that I know has been going on between the speakers and then when it is laid before the House and we have a first reading on it, it means then that chamber of that of Parliament has taken control. But you see, the Senate is trying to chew more than it bargained for in the Constitution. It would love that everything that is spoken in the National Assembly must reach in the Senate. It's a good thing because they want more work. I would really advise against more work. They already have enough because they have so many counties to look at. The issue of legislation, national legislation, should really be left to National Assembly. Has the vigor, the youthful sap that it takes.
So you don't see merit in their core?
Well, they have, I wouldn't say that they do not have merit. I think that they have a discussion which is worthy going into.
Okay.
But I will tell you that the bills that we have, all of them that we have considered, nothing in them would you say that concerns the counties in the way the Constitution was crafted.
Like the mining
what concerns the, for example, take the mining bill. What concerns the counties would be how, therefore, the counties are going to expropriate the whatever it is that comes out of the mining.
Yes.
But as you know, the same Constitution has said that everything under the earth and over the sun that somehow has a way of bringing wealth to Kenyans does not belong to the counties. It belongs to the national government.
Let's hear from you.
Now, I would, this one I would respond as a lawyer.
Right.
And one of the best in this country. The Constitution was promulgated such that the Speaker of the National Assembly was like the head of Parliament. The Clerk of the Senate was like the head also. You understand? So like the PS and the President and the PS, so that they work together, so that they do things together. Now, when you look at matters touching on the counties, you cannot say money bill does not touch the counties, when in that money bill, you are going to decide how much
goes to the counties.
Goes to the counties. You don't divide it first, then you send it. The Senate has to have power saying, how much do you have in total? We have $1 trillion. Then how much are you giving us from 15%? 15% is guaranteed, it's given. That one you give us. Above that, is there anything extra? Now, the Senate must see how much the national government has. What it means, therefore, is that when you bring that money bill, they have to see the whole of it. They have to know what is in it before they take their 15% or more. So, looking at their complaint, when you are talking about the national flags and emblems, and you're saying the governor will not fly this kind of flag, when you're talking about Mui Basin, mining of the coal will be like this, and you exclude the Senate, I think the president has not gotten the best advice on these bills.
Okay.
And we are going to move to the Supreme Court. They are going to move to the Supreme Court, which has also adopted a liberal approach, even to their own powers. Their powers were limited by the Constitution, but they adopted a limited one that you do this and this and this. So when they go there and say this and this and this and this did not have the input of Senate and therefore is unconstitutional, we have a difficult issue. I think the president did not get the right advice on some of these bills. And the sooner a solution is found where we say, look, Senate, we accept this and this, we didn't consult you. Accept it for now, but from today onwards, we will be consulting on this and this. I know my friend, because he's in Parliament and they have had their rivalry, whatever takes the Senate under the table, they celebrate. Whatever brings the Senate up.
Allow me just to quickly say.
Because I want to go to that issue of advisors, as there's a story covered on the same. Yes, quickly.
I want to say that this is what we have done before. You remember that the division of revenue, we considered it as an issue which must go to both chambers. And we processed it in the Assembly and sent it to the Senate, because we knew that we are dividing money which is going to be used for the counties. So it directly affects the counties. We pass a lot of routine things. The other day we passed marriage bill, which is now an act. So you want to ask, if you want to ask what concerns the county, of course it does, because people are married in the counties, and they are members of the county. But if you are going to have this discussion of what affects the counties, we will never move. The Constitution, I think, conceived of a situation in which there are things which will affect the workings, the governance, the nitty-gritty of a county. Those are things that are shared. But I want to say that I'm not so sure whether the senators have considered well going to the Supreme Court. I doubt if every time we are going to have a discussion on an issue, we must go to the Supreme Court. I think this is just overexposing the legislature. I think there should be some way in which we are able to talk in-house. These are national leaders, these are heads of institutions, that we can have a discussion. Even when we have a specific bill, we can say, so what in it that concerns the counties that you'd want us to go, or what is so that we do not have to go to the Supreme Court every other day. I think it is projecting us as in poor light in the face of Kenyans. Yes.
Finally, our time is up. We have about 2 minutes to go, but comment on this one. Queries being raised as list of Uhuru advisors grows. So it said he has about 20 advisors, and you've commented on perhaps him not getting very good advice. And this compares him with his predecessors who did not have too many. So in about 18 months, he has 20 special advisors, and he has been in power raising questions on the multiplicity of roles they play, of course, alongside the likes of the cabinet secretary. So the blend of experienced officials in Kibaki government and the digital generation who played a major role in successful presidential campaign. Do you then believe that some of these advisors, 20 of them with all these portfolios, and some of them have government vehicles, like bodyguards and all these things, trappings of power that go along with the same, but when you can then come back and say, you know, maybe it's not even getting the best of advice?
I think it is, most of those people are people with jobs. They're given jobs to do this, and then
you don't see it as rewards that were given?
Advice depends on what is at stake, what is on the table. If the president wants advice on a medical issue, he will seek people with knowledge. So looking at the number 20 is looking at using the wrong goggles. The president needs to have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 advisors. Not employed advisors, but whenever. If the president has an issue with the media, you get people who understand the media, then you say you and you and you will be occasionally advising the president on these issues. If the president has an issue with the law, he has the Attorney General, he has the Solicitor General, he has the DPP, he has senior lawyers who would be able to say this and this. So looking at it that he has 20, there are many that is looking at it from the wrong parameters. He has advice all over. The cabinet advises him. The cabinet are advised by the permanent secretaries. The permanent secretaries are advised by the technocrats. I
think the issue is coming in, and now you look at it this.
Now those are people who have jobs.
Money
those are people
that's going to these people, and some would argue that this was a matter of people who supported him during the campaigns, then been created for offices to feel that
they have. That would be wrong, because if you are looking at people who have supported him and so on and so forth, then they are like the Chirawa Makweres, they are like Ungeris, and they have gone out. Advice is
not everyone would have gone out, so some were left.
Actually, advice depends on the president will go for people who have knowledge.
Okay.
Not necessarily his friends or people who have supported him. Otherwise, Kutuny did not support him. Kutuny was on the other side until later on in the so advice the president should have as many.
As many.
People who are
taxpayers.
Not of taxpayers. The job seekers, them they can have their jobs, and the president is also entitled to reward a few people who stood by him when things were thick.
As Sophia, you're seeing, I'm trying to leave that to Weda because those are his clients. Except I do not know why Uhuru has not rewarded Weda for supporting him. I mean, be fair.
Where is this reward?
Be fair to Weda. But you see, the thing is this. I would rather worry about who is advising my party leader. My role is really to have as many bad advisors as possible to Uhuru, so that I'm able to capture power. I want to preserve my minutes to just put a parting shot where we began from. I'm telling you that ODM is going through maturity phase of life. We have gone through what is called the adolescent stage, and you have seen a lot of our adolescents trying to grow. Some of them are juvenile delinquents, and we have left them by the side, but we are growing on. It is a point of reawakening. And when we are done with this, next time, please bring me here to discuss about the media and political parties. I have so much to say. But
we have that discussion on Wednesday. You're invited. You have the news.
I surely would want to discuss the role of media in developing political space in this country.
Okay.
But then I'll tell you that when we are through, we are very resilient. When we are through with this bashing that we are going through, we will be very strong. And watch the space in Coast, watch the space in Western Kenya, watch the space in Machakos. CORD is going to be very, very strong, I can tell you.
All right, the parting shot. Should I give you a parting shot as well?
I would say, I would tell people, especially our male counterparts, that apart from God, God himself, the next deputy to God is the woman. People are created in the women's wombs. If you don't respect the women, you don't respect God, and you are cursed. Let us give women their space. Whenever you feel something is wrong, you can advise. But that culture that we are developing, you realize that all the wars in the world wars, the fights, the difficulties, none has ever been started by women. It is always started by men. And we have seen in our basic homes, homes where mothers die fast, they disintegrate. Homes where fathers go and mothers remain, people grow. Let us have total respect for women.
For the women. And that is the way it is as at 8:36 a.m. on this Monday, the 17th of November. We thank you for watching, and do stay with us. My guest, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Member of Parliament Raraka, as well as lawyer Ambrose Weda, TJ Kajwang, for being with us this morning. Great conversations. We'll definitely continue to watch this space. And that invite, I stand on it because, yes, we have had many politicians come out to say perhaps the role of the media critical in what then becomes the national conversation around some of the happenings inside political parties. Stay with us. We have more coming up on Morning Express.